We are now joined by UFC welterweight Khaos Williams. Khaos, thank you very much for joining us today.
No problem.
We'll take our first question from Gabriel Gonzalez with Cageside Press.
Khaos, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Hey there, good morning. First off, can you tell the story how you got that cool nickname of yours?
Well, when I was younger, man, you know, I used to always get in a lot of trouble and stuff. So, hold on, let me turn this down.
Yeah, go.
When I was younger, I used to always get in a lot of trouble and stuff. So, I just got it. One of my friends was like, "You getting in a lot of trouble, man. You causing a lot of ruckus, man, and you causing a lot of chaos." And it just came to me. And as far as the ox fighter, I used to always like slap, box, wrestle, and stuff like that. My family, it was just like, man, you strong like an ox, and I just put the fighter on it because I'm a fighter, and it just came to me. It just had a ring to it. And here I am, Khaos the Ox Fighter Williams.
Gotcha. You're on a great win streak. You have that great debut in February. So I'm assuming at that time, things are good. You're on that high. Then COVID just kind of slows life down for everyone. I mean, what was it like to have all that, the great debut, and then a few weeks later, everything just seems to come to a stop?
It definitely was, at the time, it definitely kind of hit me a little hard because, it was 2 weeks before I was supposed to fight. I was in tip-top shape. I was looking forward to the fight. I was dieting, put my social life on mute, just putting people to the side, getting tunnel vision focused. So for it to stop like that, I had people buying tickets and everything to the fight. So I was looking forward to it. So it definitely, hurt a little bit, but at the same time, I never stress about things that I can't control. So I just continue to just go day by day.
This is your first fight since February. They've been back for a few months now. Was there any particular reason why it took them a minute to have you come back, or is this just when they happened to call you?
No, in Michigan, our gyms was shut down. Like everything was pretty shut down. It took a minute for the governor to open stuff back up for us, and even the YMCA wasn't even open. So like I've had a call, but at the same time, like I told them, like everything shut down. Like everything is shut down, and I just don't want to go out there on guts and glory. I want to get the fans what they deserve to see. I want to get the people that believe in me what they deserve to see, and I also don't want to just go out there. I don't want to second guess my craft. I want to give it everything that I have, be at my best.
Understand that. Final question for me. You're fighting Abdul. What are your thoughts on him as an opponent and what he brings to the table?
I mean, as far as what I think about him, he's a pretty tough dude. Once I get past him, the UFC and everybody else that's doubting me, they know I'm here to stay.
Okay, thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
We'll take our next question from Mike Bond with USA Today. Your line is unmuted.
Hey, Khaos. I was just curious what it means to you to be getting a co-main event opportunity like this in just your second UFC fight.
Man, it's a blessing. It's a blessing. It's just surreal, man. All the hard work, dedication, the long nights, early mornings, everything is just all the years of hard work and, just everything that I put into my craft. It's all about to come to light Saturday night, so, it's just special, and it's just my time to shine.
And I don't think you have to look too far, at your guys' records to see why you're in this spot. I think it's 15 first-round finishes or something between the two of you. Is it fair to assume this is going to be probably a pretty quick fight, or do you think dragging him into deeper waters might be a more effective game plan?
One thing about me, man, I take whatever they give me. I take whatever they give me. And that's just what this fight going to be. I'm a well-rounded fighter, and I got a lot of power. He got a lot of power, so. If he coming at me and his chin not protected, hey, he got to pay.
Awesome. Should be fun. Thanks, man.
Yeah.
We'll take our next questions from Augusto Niez-Gay with Somos MMA. Your line is open.
Yes, how are you?
Yes, it's a little low.
Oh, let me see. It's better. It's better now?
A little bit.
Oh, okay, I'm going to ask you, this will be your first fight during the pandemic, so how have you been dealing with this new normality in training and during this 5 weeks so far?
I just look at it, I just take the proper protocol, the precautions. You know, obviously with the COVID and stuff like that. But you know, it's just another day for me. It's just another day for me, and I just continue to do what I can do, and just just doing whatever I'm able to do or what I have.
Okay, well, your opponent Abdul Razak Alhassan has already fought in these conditions. So, do you think that's an advantage for him?
I wouldn't say it's a disadvantage or an advantage, because he never fought me in this condition.
Okay, and Khaos, on your last fight, we could see your abilities for only 27 seconds. So, if this fight goes longer than that, which other tricks do you have under your sleeve, man?
Hey, that's what y'all gotta watch and see. I got a lot of tricks on my sleeve.
Okay, my last one. Which type of fight do you imagine for Saturday? And considering that your opponent has a really good knockout power, are you planning to stay on your feet and exchange with him?
Yeah, like I said, I'm going to take whatever he give me, and I'm pretty sure that's where the fight going to be at. We're going to get the fans what they want to see, and that's just what it is. If he coming at me and he's trying to strike, I'm going to strike with him, and if he make a mistake, to where I can capitalize on, that's just what I'm going to do.
Okay, thank you very much, man, and good luck on Saturday.
Thank you.
We'll go next to Damon Martin with MMAfighting.com. Your line is open.
Khaos, I know during the downtime you actually started training out at Jackson Wink. How exactly did you guys get connected? Was that partially because of the lockdown in Michigan, or was that something you planned on doing before?
I planned on doing it before because actually, John Jones, that's one of my favorite fighters, really, and we was all in the locker room together. So my coach was talking to their coaches, and he was talking to Winkle John and Greg Jackson and stuff like that. So we already connected, and then after I made my debut, we was just planning on me going down there, start working. So when everything was shut down during the pandemic, in Michigan, I'm like, well, it's the perfect time right now. I ain't doing nothing else. I might as well, I'm just running, doing my push-ups, my calisthenics, stuff like that. We doing outside workouts like hitting pads and stuff because our gyms was closed. So, I was just doing what I was able to do with what I had. And I'm just like, man, let me go out to Albuquerque. That's how that came about.
We hear all the time, what an amazing team that was. How was the experience for you?
It was great. I'm definitely about to go back after this fight here in the near future.
Will you have any of the Jackson Wink folks in your corner this weekend, or is it just that training experience?
Not this weekend. I still got my same squad for this one. But I definitely still keep in contact with those guys, keep in contact with the coaches and stuff like that. But right now, I still got my squad for this one.
And with this fight, we kind of all know, Alhassan's style is kind of go big or go home. He's a big finisher. We saw in his last fight when that didn't work out, obviously he had to go into deeper waters. Now, you've been a pretty explosive guy yourself, but do you like that kind of opponent, knowing you're not going to have to look for him? Like, you kind of feel like, he is that, as I said, kind of go big or go home kind of guy.
I mean, like you said, he big or go home. I know that he's going to come to me. And a lot of times with my fight, I have to go to the fight. So it's going to be a great fight. It's going to be a shootout. May the best man win.
Thanks, Khaos.
We'll go next to Jay Anderson with Cape Side Press. Your line is open.
Hey, thanks very much. And welcome back, Khaos. Just a couple of quick ones for you. When you get the big, quick knockout in your debut like you did, is there pressure on you to try and follow that up with something explosive?
I mean, of course, but it's really not pressure. It's never no pressure on me. I never feel pressure. And when I do have pressure on me, I just feel better. I feel like I perform better when the pressure is on me, But as far as me following up with it, I just got to go out there and win. That's the only pressure I got to do. I just got to go out there and win. No matter how I win, whether I win by knockout, TKO, submission, even a unanimous decision. But as long as I win, I feel like that's all I got to do, But of course, if I can get a knockout, I will and I want to. But, that's the main thing is going out there and win. I didn't come here to fight. I came here to win.
Having said that, he's never been finished. Both of his losses, he went the distance. So would it be a point of pride if you do become the first guy to stop him?
Of course, that's definitely a message, man. That's definitely a message and a statement.
All right, thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Khaos. You're all set.
All right, thank you.
We are now joined by former UFC lightweight champion Rafael Dos Anjos. Rafael, thank you very much for joining us today.
My pleasure. Thank you.
We will take our first question from Ezekiel Bergonzi with Somos MMA. Your line is open.
Hey, Rafael, how are you? Saludos desde Argentina.
Hello, how are you?
Fine, thank you. So, how do you feel after all the things that happened with the new rival and stuff?
Yeah, it's been a crazy camp for me. For the first time in my whole life, I passed through that. And I had to pull out due to COVID in Brazil. And we rescheduled for this Saturday. But like last Sunday, we got a call that Islam was out due to some infection. But I'm glad Paul Felder jumped in and we're going to put on a great show for the fans.
And how do you feel coming back to lightweight and facing COVID? How do you feel physically, and what can you tell us about that?
Sorry, can you say it again, please?
How do you feel coming back to lightweight after having COVID and after all that happened? How do you feel physically? How are you?
I feel great. When I got the COVID, it didn't affect my lungs. I was just with some headaches and a lot of body pain, but not to do with my lungs, which was good. Like 10 days, 2 weeks later after I got COVID, I was training normal and I didn't feel anything. I just felt like a lot of body pain and headaches. But coming back to lightweight, it's been a very good cut. My body responding really well. I start my cut my dieting 8 months ago. So it's been a long process. I've been putting a lot of work throughout those months, and can't wait for Saturday night.
Your strategy to fight Paul Felder is different from the one you had to face Islam Makhachev?
Definitely. Paul Felder is a orthodox striker, and Makhachev was a southpaw wrestler. He changed completely to me. I've been sparring with southpaws for the past 2 months, and now I'm facing a striker, orthodox. And I got so much experience, and for me, it's just like I had to do a little adjustments, and I'm glad Paul Felder jumped in, and we got to save the show.
Khabib Nurmagomedov retired and leave a huge legacy in the lightweight division. Do you have any words about that?
Yeah, I think he retired on his prime. I think if he does not have the passion anymore, if he lost his father and he's not fighting for money, he got enough money. If he don't have the passion to fight anymore, I completely support his idea of retirement.
And my last one. Before Paul Felder stepped in to fight you, Santiago Ponzinibbio challenged you to fight in welterweight. Do you want that match after this one of the Saturday? Are you interested?
Santiago had his chance. I asked to fight him at welterweight. I'm dropping my weight for the past 8 months to fight a lightweight, and all of a sudden he jumped in trying to fight a welterweight. So he pulled out. He denied. He refused the fight against Darren Till back in last year. So that's why UFC is not giving him any good opponents, because he refused that fight. Now he's keeping chasing me. So I'm a lightweight guy now, and I'm going after that title, a lightweight title, not a welterweight.
Thank you, and good luck on Saturday.
Thank you.
We'll take our next questions from Diego Ibas Araujo with AG Fight. Your line is open.
Oi, Rafael, tudo bom?
Opa, beleza?
Beleza. Rafael, a primeira pergunta que eu queria te fazer é sobre a importância do Dedé Pederneiras nesse seu camp. Ele foi seu head coach, eu li numa entrevista, não esqueci agora onde, acho que foi para Evelyn, enfim, que você mencionou que estava meio assim head coach nas últimas lutas, alguém que coordenasse todo o treinamento, estudasse o adversário. Qual foi a sua importância, se de fato você estava assim head coach nas últimas lutas, e o quanto isso pode mudar na sua performance?
Não, na verdade, eu tinha um head coach, o Parrilha era meu head coach, mas eu acho que eu estava precisando de um cara que tivesse mais envolvido, tivesse uma galera, uma equipe que pudesse me dar mais a visão de estratégia na luta, que eu estava notando que eu estava muito sem estratégia e sem treino mesmo, sem sparring. Então, a gente, com essa situação toda de Covid e tal, a gente decidiu, as crianças estudando online, a gente decidiu passar uma temporada no Brasil, e eu escolhi o Dedé para fazer o camp lá com ele. Foi a melhor escolha que eu fiz. O Dedé é um cara que está muito envolvido, eu não preciso ficar dando feedback para treinador do Muay Thai, para treinador físico, para médico. Então ele é um cara que fica super envolvido e agiliza tudo. Ele que planeja tudo ali, qualquer coisa, é tudo com ele. Então tirou um grande peso das minhas costas, que eu estava meio que comandando meu camp também por muitos anos. Então eu acho que isso não é legal. Dedé é um cara que envolvido, entende muito de luta, estratégia, corte de peso também, e eu acho que tirei um grande peso dos meus ombros.
E você pretende treinar mais vezes no Brasil? Tem algo que você sentiu lá que te fazia falta, que você percebeu agora que você não tem nos Estados Unidos?
Com certeza, eu planejo voltar, fazer os outros camps lá. Eu acho que ver onde eu cheguei e ver a galera ali batalhando para chegar num evento melhor, eu me vi naqueles garotos ali também, né? Então foi bom também para você dar valor ao que você tem na vida. Então foi não bom só fisicamente, na parte de luta, mas na parte pessoal também. Então foi muito importante para mim essa estadia no Brasil.
E para suas próximas lutas, vamos supor que você se você fizer o camp no Brasil, vai ser na União, vai contar com o Dedé. Se for nos Estados Unidos, como você pretende suprir essa falta de alguém que tire esse peso das suas costas, como você mencionou?
Cara, nos Estados Unidos eu vou fazer uma manutenção. Eu não vivo em camp, né? É uma manutenção, eu vou continuar fazendo minha parte física, meus treinamentos. Eu tenho treinador de boxe, eu tenho treinador de jiu-jitsu, eu tenho preparador físico, mas a gente fechando uma luta, a gente vê uma maneira de a gente agilizar o camp, porque eu estou no plano aí de ser campeão de novo do peso leve. Então, estou investindo na minha carreira, então é um momento de sacrifício mesmo.
Maravilha. Falando desse peso, então, da questão do peso, né? Você volta para os pesos leves. Como foi esse processo todo de fazer uma dieta, uma reeducação, sei lá, alimentar por tanto tempo? Eu lembro até que uma entrevista sua com o Alonso, você mencionou que tinha que seguir muito a risca por muito tempo, se de repente você fugisse uma refeição, seu peso já subia. Como foi esse processo todo, até pela pressão, talvez uma pressão psicológica, enfim, mas como foi fazer tudo isso e como você está sentindo agora, quanto peso falta e com quantos quilos você pretende lutar no dia da luta?
Cara, eu pensei, eu vou ter o resto da vida aí para poder comer. Minha carreira não vai para sempre, né? Então eu tenho mais alguns anos aí de carreira e é a chance que eu tenho de dar uma reinventada e de mostrar alguma coisa nova. Eu acho que eu subi de peso e tive tive bastante sucesso na minha subida de peso. Eu não vejo muitos lutadores tendo o sucesso que eu tive. Muitas pessoas falam, mas você foi perdeu 4 e ganhou 4, mas eu lutei pelo cinturão, eu não subi de categoria e lutei direto pelo título. Eu lutei com os caras ranqueados, subi no ranking, ganhei 2 campeões e lutei pelo cinturão. Então eu cheguei perto de ser campeão ali de 2 categorias, mas agora, nesses últimos 7, 8 meses aí, eu tenho seguido um programa de treinamento, de dieta muito forte, e consegui reduzir meu peso assim do dia a dia em 8 a 10 quilos. Então, o peso está bom, o corpo está respondendo ao corte de peso e agora é só focar aí e tirar o restinho do peso para amanhã.
Mas e você pretende lutar com quantos quilos no sábado?
Cara, eu tô mais ou menos na forma que eu tava quando eu lutei com o Anthony Pettis. Eu lembro que naquela luta eu pesei 78 quilos e meio, assim, no dia da luta.
Maravilha, então. Para terminar, esse processo de encontrar um novo adversário, né, caiu uma luta em cima da hora, quão difícil foi? Quantos dias você soube antes da notícia se tornar pública? Quantos dias você já sabia? Quantos adversários chegaram a ser negociados, né? E queria que você falasse um pouquinho desse desafio para o Michael Chandler. Se agora já criou-se uma rivalidade, pode ser resolvido no futuro.
Cara, o meu empresário, Giovanni Biscardi, me ligou no domingo falando que o cara saiu da luta, que o Chanchab ligou para ele. E até então o Chanchab tinha falado que ia tentar arrumar um adversário. E hoje eu comecei a pensar e o Michael Chandler é um cara que estava no peso para lutar esses dias aí e tá sempre postando foto, vídeo em forma, malhando. Eu achei que poderia ser, mas não rolou, não aconteceu. Ele falou que tem outros planos e eu acho que... E aí o Giovanni foi, no outro dia já veio logo com o nome do Paul Felder. E a gente nunca imaginou que eles iriam vir com esse nome. A gente estava pensando em outros nomes, de repente até um peso casado, porque de repente pela proximidade da luta as pessoas não conseguiram bater o peso, mas aí o Paul Felder entrou, então foi melhor. Foi uma benção, na verdade, entrou um cara melhor ranqueado. E é isso. Sábado vai ter luta boa aí. Vamos botar um show aí pra galera.
Maravilha, obrigadão, Rafael.
Nada, valeu.
We'll go next to Mike Bond with USA Today. Your line is open.
Hey, Rafael, apologies if I'm going to make you repeat anything you just said in Portuguese there, but I'm just curious, we're about 22 hours away from the weigh-in scale opening. I know the hard part is probably still to come, but are you surprised how good you feel right now, going back to lightweight for the first time in about 4 years?
Oh, yeah, man, I feel pretty much in the same shape that I was when I fought Anthony Pettis. My body is responding really well. So every goal that we put during the training, during the cuts, my body is being like, I've been cutting more weight than the plan. Like my body is responding really well. And yeah, like you said, the hardest part is still to come, but we feel pretty confident, and the weight will come off easily.
Why did you ultimately decide to do this? Because I feel like over the past few years, and including when I talked to you a few months ago, you said, lightweight, not really too much going to be in my future again. Maybe for like a Conor McGregor fight or like a title fight, I'd go back down. But generally speaking, I don't know if I want to put my body through that again. So why did you decide to make this move?
Yeah, my goal is to be a world champion, like I was once again. And in life, we have to make sacrifices. I think at welterweight, I had a good run. I fought for the title, but I think I'm not too big for welterweight. That gap, the 15 pounds gap, is such a big gap. But once I put that work, and I've been changing my whole diet, my whole body for the past 7-8 months. And my body is responding really well. And I'm trying to reinvent myself and prove that I can be a lightweight champion again.
Yeah, no, some of the same faces at the top of this division, but a lot of new ones as well. And I think Islam was a guy that, is obviously on the rise, and we're going to be interested to see how he'd do against someone like you. What do you think about how the division is different compared to when you left it?
Yeah, a lot of new guys. Yeah, it's been changing a lot. All like the top five guys, they really like cautious to take the next step. You know, it's been kind of a very strategic game playing by then. Back on the days, like everybody fight everybody. I believe we don't have those rankings, and I think these days people are like really cautious to the next step. Nobody want to take any fight because they want to wait for someone else to take the fight, to wait for someone else results, and I think that it slowed down the division a lot. Fighters gotta fight. Fighters gotta fight. You know, you can just hide behind rankings and trying to pick the best fight, the best match, and waiting for results that for fights that is still on the paper. And yeah, man, fighters gotta go there and fight.
Yeah, and that's kind of what, helped you make your run towards the title the first time around, being so active. I'm curious, though, what you think of this fight with Paul Felder now. Do you like this matchup better than Islam? Because, we commend you for taking all these fights against wrestlers and guys that are trying to take you down, but it seems like Paul's going to be the first guy you faced in a while whose first strategy is to stand with you.
Yeah, I was training for a softball wrestler, and Paul Felder jumped in. I met him, and I think he's a really cool guy. It was really good for him, for us. Now we saved the show by him stepping in on a 5 days notice. But he's a striker, orthodox, and it changed for me a little bit. But I'm pretty sure we're gonna put on a great show for the fans.
Great, thanks, Rafael.
Welcome.
We'll go next to Louise Green with MMA Crazy. Your line is open.
Hi, you obviously said previously there about the decision to move back down to lightweight. But I'm curious because you expressed an interest before in, getting a fight rebooked with Conor. Are you hoping that that could still be a possibility down the line if you get back into the win column on Saturday?
I just want to clarify. Conor McGregor is not my goal. I don't want to, I'm not fighting. I'm not dropping back to lightweight division to fight Conor. It's not my goal. I want fight for the belt. Whoever has the belt, I will fight. While Khabib leaving the division, I think we'll leave the division wide open. And if you look, my focus is 100% on Paul Felder on Saturday. But like you said, being back at the win column, I think if you look to these top five guys, if you look at Ferguson, Gagey, and Poirier, they all former interim champions. The only two guys that was for former champions was me and Conor. And Khabib leaving that division, I think that fight could be a good fight for the vacant belt.
Yeah, definitely. And then what do you think about his return, and how do you think he does in his rematch against Poirier?
I think he beat him once. I think Conor is a very good striker. And I think it's a good matchup for him. Poirier is a good matchup for him.
And does that up the pressure for you at all going into Saturday to get back into the win column against Paul Felder?
Sorry, can you say it again, please?
Does it up the pressure for you at all going into Saturday with Paul Felder coming on such short notice? Do you feel any added pressure because of any of the circumstances?
No, fight's a fight. Every fight's the fight of your life. I've been putting a lot of work for the past 8 months, and of course I feel pressure, but that's part of the game. I don't think anybody step on that octagon without a pressure.
And what do you think you can expect to see from Felder on Saturday, and how do you see the fight going down?
He got a great striking. He's a very technical fighter. He comes to fight. He got big heart. We're gonna put on a great show for the fans. But I see on the end of the fight, I have in my hands raised. I put a lot of work, and can't wait to show it Saturday night.
That's great. Thanks.
Thank you.
We'll take our final questions from Damon Martin with MMA Fighting. Your line is open.
Hey, Rafael, before the fight with Paul Felder came together, I know you had called for a fight with Michael Chandler, and he had responded. It seemed like you were kind of disappointed in that. Can you kind of give me your thoughts on that whole situation with Michael Chandler?
Yeah, he was scheduled to fight 2 weeks ago, I think. Yeah, he always keeping. When I got the news that Islam got infection, he's not gonna be able to fight. I thought about Michael because he always posting pictures, videos, training in shape. He just signed with UFC. He didn't fought, and I guess I thought maybe he wants to fight. But like I say, these guys they always want to pick fights that can boost them, that playing very strategic. And yeah, but he said he got other plans, but I respect that. That's it. I think different. I think fighters gotta fight, and if you're in shape, you're training. If you're always posting videos with nice quotes like I'm ready for anything. So you should take fights, but people are different.
With that being said, when Islam fell out, obviously it sounded like you were ready to fight no matter who it was, but were you happy, when you got the call about Paul Felder? I mean, considering where he's at in the division, his record, I mean, I don't know that you could have asked for a better fight on 5 days' notice, right?
Oh yeah, that was a great replacement. We could ask for better. That fight, UFC put that name on the table back in August, but it didn't come. Didn't work. Didn't work the fight. I think my weight wasn't on point yet. We couldn't figure out a date. But Paul Felder, on a 5 days notice, he's a guy that comes to fight. It's a more exciting match, I think, for all of us, for the fans as well. We're gonna put on a great show Saturday night.
And last question for me. I know you had a lot of respect for Islam, and you kind of talked about the rankings and the problem with the rankings, but in a way, do you feel like this is actually a bigger fight considering where Paul is in the division? And you mentioned his experience, beating guys like Edson Barbosa and some of the guys he's faced. Do you feel like this is actually a bigger fight and a better way to kind of reintroduce yourself to the lightweight division?
Yeah, I believe so. He's a guy that comes to fight. He's not a type of fighter that they're gonna go there and try to steal the fight and do those cage game and put me against the wall, stuff like that. Yeah, it'll be. I was very prepared for Islam as well. We put a lot of work in Brazil. We got some judo guys. I was so ready for Islam. But yeah, Paul Felder jumping in on a 5 days notice. Like I said, better ranking. Yeah, it could boost me. A win over Paul Felder will give me a huge boost compared to Islam.
Thank you so much, Rafael.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Rafael. You're all set.
Thank you.
We are now joined by UFC strawweight Kay Hansen. Kay, thank you very much for joining us today.
Hey.
We'll take the first question from Jay Anderson with Cageside Press. Your line is open.
Hey, thanks very much. Welcome back, Kay. Coming into your sophomore fight here, is the feeling any different from that debut back in June?
Yes and no. I feel like it's different because, I had a full camp this time and I kind of got to plan for an opponent and it wasn't so last minute, but also it's fight week, so fight week is fight week for me and I'm excited either way. So it's a little different, but it's still fight week. So I'm excited.
And lots is being made about the ages of the fighters in this between you and Cory. Your combined age is several years less than Anderson Silva, who just fought. Do you feel people are focusing on that a little too much and maybe overlooking some of your accomplishments?
Yes and no. People are going to focus on whatever they want to focus on, We both are very young prospects, but we're both very promising. And I feel like our age is kind of interesting, considering how promising we both are. So it makes sense that people are focusing on that. And, I don't necessarily mind it, but either way, I'm going to go in there and do, what I need to do. So.
And just give us your thoughts on the matchup with Cory. Obviously, you might have the edge in the submission side. Are you looking to take this to the ground?
I'm looking to keep this wherever it goes. I'm not forcing anything this fight. I'm just going to let things, play out how they play out. I feel like we're both young. We're both well-rounded. But I feel like I'm a little sharper everywhere, whether it's on the feet or on the ground. So I'm looking forward to wherever it goes. And like I said, I'm just going to let things come natural. I'm confident wherever it ends up.
And last one for me, when it comes to younger fighters coming in, there seems to be a bit of an obsession with beating that John Jones record as the youngest champ. I know Macy Barber's got the countdown clock on her phone. Do you have any sort of milestone that you're looking to hit by a certain age?
Not necessarily. It'd be awesome. And I think if I do what I can do and what I'm capable of, I'll get there. But for me, I'm just focused one fight at a time. I'm here for the long run. I'm here to be one of the best. I'm here to be the cowboy, to be the Justin Gaethje. I want to be a champion and I want to be respected. So one fight at a time, I'm going to climb to the top of the strawweight division, and that's all I'm focused on.
All right, best of luck this Saturday.
Thank you.
We'll go next to Mike Bond with USA Today. Your line is open.
Hey, Kay, I know you're just talking a little bit about the age and stuff, but if you look at your two fights so far, I believe Jin was 14 years older than you, and that was one of the biggest age discrepancies. And now we have the youngest combined age at a fight. What kind of matchup do you prefer? Do you prefer fighting a veteran who's been around and has more experience, or someone who now has less fights than you?
To me, it doesn't matter. And I was just talking about this yesterday. It's kind of weird because I feel like I'm in this weird middle ground where I am a young up-and-coming prospect, but I also feel like I'm kind of a vet of the game too. This is my 12th pro fight, and I've experienced a lot in these 12 fights, and I've also had some pro boxing matches, and I've competed a lot in jiu-jitsu, and I know I'm young and I've only been in the sport for 5-6 years, but I feel like I'm kind of a combination of both. So for me, I don't really mind what I get, whether it's another young up-and-comer or if it's a veteran, because I feel like I'm kind of in the middle and I can play both sides, and I'm confident in my skill and my fight IQ and stuff.
Yeah, do you think maybe that's an advantage you have in this fight? You guys might be the same age, but it seems like you're maybe a little older in fight years.
Yeah, I feel like I have the advantage everywhere, if I'm being honest. Cory's great. I think she's promising too, but I feel like I do have the edge in experience, even not as many, not even counting as many fights as I have, but if you just look at what I've been through in those fights, I've been cut, I've been bloodied, I've lost, I've, been beaten for almost all 3 rounds and then pulled it out the last 10 seconds. I've been through a lot in my 12 fights, and I feel like that for sure gives me an edge.
Any idea if anyone's placing some large bets on you for this fight?
I feel like I've got a lot of messages, I've seen a lot of messages saying that, and I feel like last time, when the guy placed that big one, it kind of set this oh, well, I'm gonna do that every time with people. So I've seen a couple, but it doesn't make a difference to me. It doesn't add any pressure or affect me in any way, because the way I look at it, it's that's your money. If you want to bet it, that's on you. I don't know. Some people bet a lot of money on things, and I don't get it.
Do you think in terms of your brand and trying to get your name out there, that was kind of a good thing? Because we've had well over 100 fighters make their UFC debut this year, and people are trying to find ways to stand out, and that was definitely a bit of a storyline around your fight.
Yeah, it for sure gave my debut a little more hype, I feel like. I remember I saw it right before I walked out from my fight, and I was just like, people are crazy. Why would you do that? I'm confident in myself too, but I don't know. But people have followed my career, since Invicta. And like I said, I think people have seen me where I should have been down and out, and I could pull it out, So I think, and I talked to the guy a little bit. I actually ran into him at the airport after my fight, by coincidence. And I talked to him, and he said he had followed my career a little bit with Invicta, and he knew he had confidence in me. So I'm not super surprised that people are betting, but I am surprised at the amount they're betting. But either way, I did think it helped to hype my debut a little bit.
For sure. Good. Well, looking forward to seeing you back. Appreciate the time.
Thank you.
We'll go next to Damon Martin with MMAfighting.com. Your line is open.
When you had your debut, it was such a crazy experience, short notice, stepping in, and afterwards you talk about the bet. But another thing that happened after your fight, and you hadn't even really had a chance to react to it because you were, I think it was literally right after the fight, was Ronda Rousey taking notice of your performance. I know it's been some time since then, but what does it mean to you when you're making your debut and there's no guarantee, there's going to be a lot of attention, but when you get somebody like Ronda, an icon of the sport, paying attention to your win, what does that mean to you as a young athlete?
It means a lot. Yeah, I remember after my fight, Megan Olivier was interviewing me, and she was like, "Oh, did you see Ronda's tweet?" And I was like, "No, I haven't got a chance to look on my phone." And it's super cool because, Ronda, she set such a good, path, I feel along with a lot of other women, of course. But for me, everyone I've told the story a few times, but she's the reason I started fighting. I watched her versus Betch Correia, and I was like, whoa, I got to do this, So it was super cool, getting that credit and also finishing a fight in a similar fashion to how she finishes, because she is the reason that I started in the sport. So it was really cool to see, that little bit of recognition from her.
Are you able to kind of geek out at a moment like that and kind of enjoy it? Because now people are looking up to you. You're going to have young girls looking at you and saying, I want to be the next Kay Hansen. But do you get a minute to kind of be a fan for a second and just say, how awesome that was that somebody that meant so much to you was paying attention to your fight?
It's hard for me because, I've always kind of had a hard time soaking everything in because I'm such I try to look for what's next. And that's what I've been trying to focus on lately is living in the moment. So I feel even with my whole UFC debut, it all happened so fast and everything happened so crazy that I feel I didn't even get to really take it in, So that's what I've been trying to work on is living in the moment, taking each moment in. But it's so hard because I said, I feel my mind is just wired, what's next? And that mindset has helped me get where I am. But I'm trying to find this balance because I didn't really get to I don't feel I enjoyed the moment as good as I should have when it came to my whole debut. So that's what I'm trying to focus on. And hopefully this time around, it'll be a little different.
I know a lot of people are bringing up the age thing, and I hate to ask one more question about that, but considering the experience you have, though, we see a lot of fighters when they come in very young, they face a little bit of adversity the first time, and I'll say they fall apart, but, we see them struggle. Do you feel like you're not the typical 21-year-old fighter? You're not, somebody we're saying you're so young in the sport because of all the experience you have?
Yeah, I kind of pride myself on, being like I said, kind of a vet of the sport already at 21. I know I'm really young, but like I said, I've been through some stuff in my fights. I've been cut multiple times. I've lost in horrible fashion. I've lost close fights. I've won close fights. I've won in great fashion. I've been all over the spectrum with all my fights, and it's helped me grow, not only as a fighter, but as a person. So I feel I'm not your average 21-year-old, even outside of fighting. I've been through a lot, in and out of the cage, when it comes to my life. So for me, it's I don't feel I'm a typical 21-year-old, So people are geeking out about the age, and like I said, I think it's super cool, especially now that we're on the main card. I think it's super cool, two young, up and coming, promising athletes fighting each other. I think it's awesome, but I do think I'm not the average 21-year-old, especially when it comes to fighting.
And last thing for me, you kind of mentioned it earlier, long term, you think championships and things like that, but you mentioned the kind of attitude of like that cowboy Gaethje kind of attitude. In an ideal world, would you like to be that active fighter? We saw it this year with Kevin Holland. He's just about to have his 5th fight this year. We all know the cowboy mentality, the Neil Magny mentality, wanting to fight every other week if possible. Would that be like the perfect situation for you?
So my whole career, like if you followed my career, you'd know this, but like I know there's a lot of people who are new to me, so people are going to get to know this about me. Like this is the first official camp I feel like I've ever had. Like all my fights have been 3 weeks or less notice. Like I love short notice fights. Like I don't know. I like camps because it's cool because you get to see like your progression. You get to plan for a specific opponent. But like the way I look at it is like your skill set should be able to beat anyone at any time. And you should have that like, because I train the same in and out of camp no matter what. I'm in the gym all the time. Like I don't have like an out of camp like training schedule. It's all the same for me. So for me, like short notice fights are cool because like you just go. Everything, you get such a rush and you just go, and it's what you got right now, like the best you have against, the best they have. So I love short notice fights and I love staying active, So for me, that's ideal. Like I said, I loved having a camp. It was cool, but like something about short notice fights, like will always have a place in my heart.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we'll take our final questions from Gabriel Gonzalez with Cageside Press. Your line is open.
Okay, so, a lot of my other ones were already taken, but I did want to ask, because you had the great debut with the guy who bet the money, with the Ronda Rousey and everything, is there pressure? Like, how do you separate it? Because obviously you have all that great stuff happen in the first one. I'd assume you go in and it's like, well, how do I top that?
I have no like pressure on me whatsoever to top anything, I didn't feel pressure my debut either. I just kind of did me, and I feel like that's all I need to do is just do me. I'm not worried about topping, my last performance. I'm not worried about, getting someone to bet on me. I'm not worried about getting someone to give me a shout out. Like, I love this stuff, and I'm coming here to fight, and that's all I want to do, and I'm excited to do that, So I have no pressure on myself for trying to, one-up myself from my last time. Like, I'm just trying to be a better fighter in the cage, whether that's a 3-round decision or, first round finish. Like, for me, I just want to be the best me I can be. So I'm not putting any pressure on myself.
Going back to the age and with Cory McKenna, I mean, you guys are kind of on similar paths. You did your thing in Invicta. She did her thing in Cage Warriors. Yeah. I mean, look, very honest, not every young prospect gets off to this great start. So just in terms as a fellow competitor, what do you think of how she's developed in a short time?
I honestly can't tell you that because I don't watch much tape. I kind of let my coaches do that. I'm mostly worried about myself. Like I said, I'm just trying to be the best version of myself. And I feel like, my skill set should be able to beat anyone of any other skill set. And if it doesn't, then I have to go back and do more work. And I have confidence in myself and my skill set. So for me, I don't really know. I can't tell you her record. Like, I know a little bit about her, but like, I haven't watched every fight. Like, I haven't watched any like full fight. I trust my coaches and I leave that up to my coaches, and I'm just worried about me and what I'm doing. So, I think, like I said, I do think I have the edge in experience and in like having to overcome adversity. But, I don't know necessarily how she's developed as an athlete. I'm expecting the best Cory McKenna that, she has, and I hope I get the best Cory McKenna that she's ever been. She's going to get the best me, and I don't want nothing but the best version of someone. So
my final question, so you're just starting on your UFC career, but there's a lot of fun stuff the UFC does. There's Fight Island. There's obviously getting to be on a big pay-per-view with some of these big names that attract a lot of attention. I mean, set out your goals. What's something you would like to do next? Do you want to fight on a particular person's undercard? Do you want to travel when it opens up?
I want to take any opportunity I'm given. I want to go to the top, and I trust the UFC, and I trust myself, and I trust my camp to help me get there. And, I'd love to, get a top 15 opponent next. I'd love to, work my way to the top. I'd love to be the co-main event. I'd love to be the main event. This is my dream, so I'm here to live it. So whatever that comes with, I'm here for the ride, and I trust everyone that's in my circle. So.
Hey, thank you, Kay. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kay. You're all set.
Thank you.
And just a note, we will be joined next by UFC strawweight Cory McKenna. We are now joined by UFC strawweight Cory McKenna. Cory, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
We'll take our first question from Mike Bond with USA Today. Your line is open.
Hey, Cory, can you hear me all right?
Yeah, all good.
Okay, Kurt, I couldn't hear you before. I'm sure you're going to get a lot of the questions we just asked Kay here, but a little bit of history between you two, being the youngest female matchup in terms of combined age in UFC history. Is this the kind of fight you expected for your debut here? Or do you think maybe you would get someone a little more seasoned in the game?
Generally you tend to see, obviously they see a lot of the new prospects and stuff coming in. They tend to fight someone that's kind of on their back end of the career or on their way out. That transition seems very common in the UFC. But I never really thought too much about who I'd be fighting when I got into the UFC, as opposed to the fact that I just knew that it was going to happen eventually. So, very excited to get in there regardless of who it is. And I'm actually excited that it's going to be, like you say, two young prospects. I think it's going to be a very exciting fight.
Yeah, and you kind of alluded to it there, but what does it mean to you to finally be here?
Oh, it's a bit surreal, to be honest. Feels like I'm in a dream, but it's amazing. It's a great opportunity, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, and there was a lot of attention around Kay coming from her debut. Ronda Rousey was tweeting about her. People were betting, big sums of money on her and stuff. Do you think this is an opportunity for you to go in and kind of steal some of that shine for yourself and show who you are in this fight?
I'm not too worried about that, to be honest, in terms of the hype and all the following and stuff. Obviously, I receive an amazing amount of support myself. I'm very grateful for everyone that's sending me support and everything. Kay's an amazing athlete in herself, so not going to be trying to steal any of her thunder. When I go out there, going to get that win on Saturday, but she doesn't take anything away from her and everything she's accomplished so far. But yeah, I think it's going to be a great fight. There's a lot of support behind it, like you say. Whether they're rooting for me or rooting for her, I think it's going to be a very popular fight.
Great, looking forward to it. Thanks for the time.
Thank you.
We'll go next to Gabriel Gonzalez with Cageside Press. Your line is open.
Hey, Cory. After your win at Contender Series, you talked about how you were going to be moving to the United States for training and living full time. I know obviously stuff with Corona has changed a lot everywhere, but were you able to finally make it?
Yeah, Contenders actually opened up the opportunity for me. So after that, I stayed in the US and I moved straight to Sacramento. So I've been there pretty much since the Contenders fight, making the most of, obviously, I had the travel restrictions waived thanks to the UFC. So just capitalized on that and made the move straight out there.
Obviously, doing your thing in Cage Warriors, which is a big promotion overseas, is huge, but the UFC is a whole nother level. Can you talk about just what it's like? I mean, obviously you're young, but now you're getting a lot of attention. I'm assuming people are very excited about your career that maybe hadn't heard of you before. What's it like just to, deal with that change of all the added attention?
Yeah, like you said, I've always received a lot of support, fortunately, and obviously fighting on Cage Warriors, which was the biggest show in Europe, so obviously that was a large platform in itself. It's not been too much of a change for me in terms of step up. Obviously, a lot more media and a lot more stuff like that, but nothing we can't handle. But it's very exciting. Obviously, it's a lot busier, a lot more exciting. Everything's kind of go. But really, it's been amazing.
Out of curiosity, because we did just have Kay Hansen do the media before you, did you run into her coming in as you were doing your interview?
No, I didn't.
Okay, just curious. My final question, joining the UFC, you're on another fight night, but there's a lot of big stuff that happens. There's a lot of big cards and pay-per-views, and there's travel, Fight Island, and then obviously, in the future, we expect that all to come back. What do you want to do in terms of yourself personally? Do you want to travel a lot? Do you want to fight on the undercard of a particular star? Anything like that?
Not particularly. I just want to stay active. Obviously, I had a big layoff last year, so I'd really like to just stay active for the for the upcoming future. Obviously, it'd be great to travel. I think very fortunate in this sport that obviously we get to travel around the world. We get to see lots of different things whilst doing what we love. So obviously, if the opportunity arises for me to see new places and travel to new places, that would be amazing. But for now, my only goal is to get this win on Saturday and then get back out there as soon as possible and stay nice and active.
Okay, thanks, Cory. Good luck.
Thank you.
We'll go next to Damon Martin with MMAfighting.com. Your line is open.
Coming off the Contender Series win, I noticed on your Instagram you posted a photo of yourself with Dana White from when you were several years ago. You kind of made a joke. Your mom kind of embarrassed you in that moment. Could you tell that story, how that happened, and kind of coming full circle, 7 years later and signing with the UFC?
So back in, I think it was 2013, I went to my first ever live UFC event. We had good seats. We were down by the front, so obviously Dana White walked past, took some photos with a few different people, and my mum, being a stereotypical mother to someone who's just started fighting, she ran over. She was 5 years time, you're going to be signing her. I mean, it took me 7, so a little bit behind schedule, but I guess she was right. She knew what she was talking about. Obviously, I was very embarrassed at the time, and being a young teenager, I was like, Mom. But that was fun. It's a good story.
We remember, and I'm sure you probably heard this story, maybe not, but years ago, Conor McGregor, came to a UFC event. And he had a photo with, I think it was Chuck Liddell and somebody else. And years later, he becomes Conor McGregor. I mean, isn't it cool though, thinking back, 7 years ago, you're a fan, 13 years old, sitting in a fight, and now here you are about to make your UFC debut. Like, is it kind of crazy, kind of putting those two things together?
Yeah, like I say, it's completely crazy. Like, that feels like yesterday to me. This was like a pipeline dream, and we managed to get it done. So like you say, it's a bit surreal, but knew it was going to happen eventually. So I'm just glad to be here.
You've been out at Team Alpha Male, and we hear a lot. I mean, I don't think there's any giant secret how good that team is, but we hear a lot about Uriah Faber as a mentor. We've seen with a lot of young fighters, Andre Feely speaks his praises constantly about how much Uriah has meant to him in his career. How much has Uriah meant to you in terms of, not only as a coach, but as a mentor, as a young fighter?
Yeah, Uriah's amazing. He's a veteran of the sport, obviously Hall of Famer and all that. Everyone knows that. But he is also one of the most selfless people you'll ever meet. I've yet to hear anyone say anything negative about him and what he does for not just the sport and the team, but individuals as well. He really took me under his wing. He puts a lot of time into me. He's a very busy man with, obviously, like you say, a new family and everything, but he still finds the time to check in on me and come in and do private sessions with me and everything. The support I receive from him is completely unreal, and I like it. It's a bit of a testament to kind of, like you say, he sees something in me which means a lot, and I just hope on Saturday I can go out there and make him proud, really.
And last thing, kind of following up on that, working with Team Alpha Male over these past few months, full time, actually coming to the States, do you feel like that's kind of your plan going forward? You want to stick with Team Alpha Male, and that's going to be your team, from here on out?
I've made that move. I'm currently only on like a 3-year visa, but I'd like to stay there for the foreseeable future for sure. I really feel like I fit in well there. The coaching staff's amazing. Obviously mentioned Uriah Faber, but I've also been doing a lot of work with, Joey Rodriguez for my boxing. Danny Castillo's gone above and beyond. He's been in Vegas pretty much the last 3 weeks with fighters, solid. He's been Zoom chatting me sessions and everything. He's not seen his family and he's still coming in to train with me and everything and coaching my sparring rounds. So he's another one that's completely gone above and beyond, and I don't think gets enough praise and recognition for what he does. And obviously all the other coaching staff at Team Alpha Male have been amazing, like Chris Holdsworth and Mike Malott and everyone, and then all my teammates. So I just feel like it's been a really great camp, and I'm really fortunate. I'm very grateful every day that I managed to get spent on those mats. So I'm looking forward to making some gains there in the future.
Awesome, thanks, Cory.
Thank you.
We'll go next to Jay Anderson with Cage Side Press. Your line is open.
Hey, Cory, welcome back. When we did speak to Kay earlier, the idea came up that she might have an experience edge. I'm just wondering how much you think your amateur career will play in, because I believe you started all the way back in 2014 in the amateurs.
So I started, my first fight was 2015. I was 15 years old. I think a lot of people don't realize quite how extensive my background is in itself. I've been obviously training martial arts for over half my life now. I was competing jiu-jitsu pretty much every weekend as a kid. I had multiple junior Muay Thai titles. So I think a lot of people don't realize quite how much experience I had in the amateur and junior ranks before turning pro. So, and then I think there's only 3 or 4 fights difference in the pro rank, the pro record for us. So if anything, I'd say I have the experience edge. I just think maybe I'm a little bit more quiet than some others.
And how different is the feeling this week compared to what you felt ahead of the Contender Series fight?
There's no difference, if I'm honest. I was discussing this with one of my coaches the other day, kind of the same process. We've worked hard. We're in the same hotel. We're fighting in the Apex. It's the exact same cage. It almost just feels like going out there another day in the office, gonna go get the work done, and it's nice and relaxed, to be honest. I'm just having a good time.
Dana did kind of struggle with the age factor when he made the decision to award you the contract after that fight. How important is it for you to, win or lose, put on a strong performance in this, make sure he knows he made the right choice?
I think he was also trying to build a lot of suspense. Also didn't help that I think I wrote down that I was 20 on something, because I'd only just turned 21 and I'm not the brightest spark. But no, so I think, he's just trying to build a bit of suspense, but I definitely think that on Saturday I'll be able to go out there and put on a dominant performance and, make sure there's no room for doubt that I am where I belong. That I'm confident that's what I'm going to go out and do. And, hopefully afterwards he realizes that he made a good choice.
And last one for me. Kay's known for her grappling, her submission. She won her first fight by armbar. The UFC debut, she won by armbar. Is the grappling side, the submission threat, something you've really been focusing on this camp?
Not really. I approach every fight the same. I think I'm not going to obviously sleep on her striking, and obviously, like you say, got to have respect for her ground game. But at the same time, when I go into a fight, I just focus on everything and making sure that I am the best version of myself all round. So I'm confident whether it's on the feet, whether we're wrestling, whether we're grappling. As I said before, I've got a lot of submission wins. I've got a very extensive background in jiu-jitsu and stuff myself. So I don't think there's much threat there anyway. Not there's much threat, but also I'm not that worried about it, if that makes sense. I'm comfortable if it ends up there, and confident that I could actually probably get a submission myself over her.
All right, well, best of luck this Saturday. Looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Cory. You're all set.
Oh, thank you.
We will be joined next by UFC welterweight Abdul Razak Alhassan. We are now joined by UFC welterweight Abdul Razak Alhassan. Abdul, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you for.
We'll take the first question from Jay Anderson with Cageside Press. Your line is open.
Welcome back, Abdul. I want to start with the last fight. Obviously, just the second loss of your career and coming off of a long layoff. What did you take away from that? And have you changed anything in terms of your preparation for this fight?
Oh, yes, definitely. Preparation for the last fight was not real. I'm not saying it's the best preparation I've had. I think I came into that. I was as a fighter. Just want to some shots out, rather than as an athlete and Marukan. So, we all learn a lot in the life. So, I've learned a lot.
Sorry, can I just get you to speak up just a little? I think we're getting some volume issues.
Oh yeah. Do you want me to repeat what I said again?
Yeah, if you don't mind. Sorry, man.
Yeah, I said, there's a lot of stuff I've taken out from my last loss. I didn't prepare very well, I think so. And also, I came into that fight, more angry rather than fighting as an athlete. I was more upset with everything I've said with it. I really thought that would carry me into a fight, but if you don't go for a fight, results is what's put out there. But I've learned a lot from that.
And coming into this one, Khaos Williams, we both know you both have knockout power. He said he wants to test your chin. How do you see this going? Because it seems kind of obvious on paper.
Okay. If you want to test my chin, I have the same thing for him too. Let's see how his chin can hold up.
Absolutely. And, the co-main event spot, it feels like the UFC knows this is explosive. So what's it feel to get that kind of spotlight on you?
It feels amazing. I wasn't expecting that, but it feels amazing for the UFC to kind of believe. I will not say just me because that would be selfish. Both of us. That's all. I'll do my best.
Okay, well, thanks very much. Looking forward to Saturday.
Thank you.
We'll go next to Mike Bond with USA Today. Your line is open.
Well, just curious. Hey, man, just curious. Obviously, the road back to the last fight, we all know how tough that was for you. To just get that one fight out of the way and behind you, how different do you feel going into this one?
Very different. Preparation is different. Everything is pretty much different. Good. Feeling happy, feeling like myself again, putting everything behind me, everything that happened in the past behind me, looking forward to the future, see kind of rampage I'm going to make through the day.
Yeah, not that you want to make excuses or anything like that, but can you, in hindsight, say what percentage of your ability you were really fighting at that night and how different it feels now?
I cannot say my percentage, and also, he's giving excuses will kind of take away the victory from the person who had the victory. He's a tough guy. He fought a good fight. So me making excuses would just take away from this fight. And I'm sure all of you guys saw that I missed weight, right? Weight cut was the most horrible weight cut in my life. Never wanted to. Even that after the weigh-in when I came back, so shaky. I wanted to. So I was so upset. I just wait. This one. The guy is tough. That's why I don't want to make excuses. The guy is tough. It's good.
Fair play. Appreciate it, man. Just on the UFC side, it's still a little bit hard to hear him, so I'm not sure if you guys are able to make any fixes there, but just give him a heads up. Thanks for the time.
Much better?
We'll go next.
Yeah, much better.
All right, we'll go next to Gabriel Gonzalez with Cage Side Press.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. Just two quick ones. I want to ask just obviously there was a long layoff between, your last fight and the one before. Has it helped you in terms of, just staying in shape and peaking for the fight because you've had it hasn't been as much time since the last one?
Oh, yeah, because, especially like if you're talking about the layoff was just me being at home and getting fat pretty much is when I was off. So getting back home from that last loss, I did a lot of thinking. I cannot let my weight be that high. I need to shift in gears, change some few stuff, So I did a lot of changing there to help me be the old me and above. So that's what I did.
This may sound like a redundant question, but can you just talk about the difference of having been able to stay active in terms of just how it does help you in terms of, between fights, staying in shape, and just how quickly you are able to get back into quote unquote fighting shape when you do get another fight scheduled?
Staying in fighting shape is always good because when you're in fight shape, or not say fight shape, but you put yourself in a situation that you don't have to cut so much weight or put yourself too much stress just to get to where you want to be. It feels amazing. So going from fight to fight, you don't go back to hey, I don't have a fight for a while, so I just want to eat or do, stuff that will make my weight going high. It just, your mentality just changed. You just want to go back to the gym, get back in there, fix your mistakes, fix the stuff that you could have done before, but you didn't do it. So it helps a lot in so many ways.
My final one, this time you're fighting in Vegas. You don't have to make the long trip over to Abu Dhabi. Can you just talk a little bit about how helpful that is in terms of, just going through fight week and everything?
Very helpful, very helpful. It's like you're in your own backyard, So it feels really good. You don't have to sit on a long flight all the way over there,
To fight.
Everything all right? Yeah. Yeah, you don't have to be on a long flight over there. So being here, it's reassuring, I have my whole team here. Last time I didn't have my team, so this time I have my whole team here, so it's really good.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you very much, Abdul. You're all set.
Okay, thank you very much.
We are now joined by UFC middleweight Brandon Allen. Brandon, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
We will start with Gabriel Gonzalez with Cageside Press.
Well, Brendan, it feels like we spoke to you just last week. Can you talk about, from your point of view, how everything unfolded from last Saturday to getting a new opponent?
Everything happened on Saturday, everything. Saturday, they called me around noon. My manager called me and said that he had tested positive and that obviously he was going to be able to fight. I told him I'd fight anybody they had that night or 205 next week, which is this week. And they tried to reschedule us for November 28th, which is the day after my kid's birthday. And I'm not missing my kid's birthday as long as I'm alive for anybody. They tried to reschedule us for December the 4th. It's my wife's birthday. Then they said January 13th or 16th, whatever the Saturday is. I said yes. They came back with November 21st. I told them no, that's my mother's birthday. And next thing you know, they came with this, and I was more than happy to take it. And I wasn't going to redo my whole schedule that I had and for a guy that I've already tried to fight twice and it didn't happen. So it worked out great. The UFC, McMahon, Dana White, they all took very good care of me, got me this fight, and I'm super happy about it. I'm ready to fight and go home.
So can you describe what the last few days have been like? Did you just stay in Vegas, or was there ever like a one-day go home, come back kind of deal?
I flew back to Florida on a red-eye Saturday night. I got there about 11 o'clock on Sunday. Slept, ate with some of my friends, my family, and then, the family that I have in Florida. And then I trained Monday with my team 2 times and came right back out to Vegas Tuesday. So a lot of traveling. I hate flying, but I wanted to be with my team. I didn't want to train with anyone out here in Vegas. I wanted to get with my team, my coaches, and just get some solid work in with them before everything and still stay on track to what we were doing. So I didn't want to stay in Vegas. I didn't want to train with anyone in Vegas. So.
Gotcha. Last one, just obviously Sean Strickland, he did fight pretty recently also. Just what are your thoughts on him as an opponent and what he brings?
I think he's a gamer. I think he's a good opponent. He's got a good name. He's been in the UFC a long time. I think he's got 11 fights. Good opponent, good striker. Seems to be a tough guy. Like I said, seems to be a gamer. So super excited to just go out there and fight a guy like that. He's got a good resume, got a lot of fights, good number. He's 2-3. So I definitely think he's a good opponent, good name, good guy for my resume, and I think it's going to be a good fight.
All right. By the way, is your birthday also coming up soon, or is it just the other members of your family that all have it in the next few weeks?
So it's my mom, my daughter, my wife, literally back to back. And then I'm December 28th. So.
All right, so they get a little bit of a break to pay you back. That's awesome. Hey, good luck. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll go next to Mike Bond with USA Today. Your line is open.
Hey, Brenda, I'm just curious. You talked about kind of nailing down the date here. What about the weight? How did you guys reach the conclusion of a catch weight? I know 185 isn't the easiest for you. Is that something you threw out there, or was that Sean, or how did that come about?
I think it was pretty well known that I wasn't going to make 85 again, just because I didn't know how my body would respond. And I didn't want that to be a problem for me physically. But Sean didn't want to make weight either, from what I understood, because he had just fought 2 weeks ago. So I think it was pretty well known. Mick came to me and said he thought it was going to be at 200, 205, but he wasn't sure. They wanted to get with Strickland and see what he weighed, and I was good with pretty much whatever. So they just texted me and said 195, and yes, sir, let's go.
Yeah, are you feeling pretty good about that weight going into tomorrow right now at this point?
Yeah, I don't have to cut anything. I'm already on weight.
That's great. And what matchup do you like better between Sean and Ian?
I like Sean better. I think it'll be more that I can display, and I think it'll be a better fight for the fans, just because he's a good striker. He's a technical guy, so I think it'll allow us to display more rather than that in and out little stupid movement that Ian does and just timing it. And obviously we knew he was going to shoot at some point and try to hold me against the cage the whole time. So I think this would be a better fight for sure, especially from the fans.
Yeah, and when we saw him fight just a couple weeks ago, he was doing a ton of talking in the cage against Jack. Is that something you're preparing yourself for, and you're maybe excited to engage him a little bit with, or what do you kind of think of that element?
I'll be excited if he does it, but I highly, highly doubt that that's going to happen. I don't give my opponents enough space to talk. That's just not my style. Go in there, we're going to get right to business, and we're going to see what happens. That's just the plan. So I doubt he's going to be talking to me. But if he does, great. I love that.
Great answer. Appreciate it, man.
No problem.
We'll go next to Jay Anderson with Cageside Press. Your line is open.
Hey, Brendan. Feels like we just spoke a week ago for some reason. I'm glad this worked. I'm glad this worked out for you. Just a couple of quick ones. First of all, you mentioned the Dana White and Sean Shelby and everyone really coming through here. Did you wind up paid your show money for the Ian fight, or is this in place of that?
They took care of me.
All right, fair enough. And, how concerned were you coming into this week with Ian testing positive that you could have actually picked up the virus after being, close proximity to him at the weigh-in?
I wasn't worried about that at all. Me and my whole family have already had it. I wasn't worried about it at all whatsoever. People had to message me and tell me, "Oh, you took your mask off with face-offs." Yeah, I sure did. I wanted him to know that. I don't know. You don't know until you've done it, but a face-off is raw. You can see in your opponent's eyes what you're in for most of the time. So. He said some stupid stuff about he was going to break me, so at weigh-ins, which I didn't even know that could be done. But yeah, so that was my thing. But no, I wasn't worried about it at all. I didn't care.
And last one for me. Have you ever? I know everyone's gone through a heck of a weird year this year, and it's been very trying for most of us. But have you ever had a year in your professional career like this with an opponent pulling out twice and this kind of roller coaster that you've gone through?
No, but. As far as the whole Ian thing, because obviously I feel like that's where the questions go towards. I'm kind of over the whole Ian thing. If it happens, it happens. But in order for me to sign a contract with that guy again, there's going to have to be a replacement in play to know that I am going to fight that night. Because it's not like I'm made of money and camps cost a lot of money. And by the time I fight, I've already spent the money that I have for the camp. So, financially it's a big stress if I don't fight. So, like I said, the UFC took care of me for this one. I'm so grateful for what they've done for me as far as what they did for me for the fight and this fight, and very blessed, but it is very stressful on me if I don't fight. So, in order for that to happen, there has to be a replacement in play. There has to be a guarantee that I will fight that night. But in regards to Ian, I'm kind of over that. The ship's kind of sailed. For me, if it comes across my desk, obviously I'm not going to say no. I just need to make sure that I'm fighting that night. But it is what it is.
All right, well, looking forward to it. Glad it all worked out in the end, man.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Brendan. You're all set.
Thank you, buddy.
We're now joined by number 7 ranked UFC lightweight contender Paul Felder. Paul, thank you very much for joining us today. Thank you. We'll take our first question from Mike Bond with USA Today. Your line is open.
Hey, Paul. We're about 21 hours from the weigh-in. How are you feeling?
I feel good. I did a little cut before all this, so I'm obviously a little bit dragging right now. I'm sorry for that, but I just want to really make sure that I'm going to be on weight tomorrow morning. So I just wanted to get a head start, and I can't believe how well that little first cut went. And then I'll go sleep after this, and then we'll do the rest of it later tonight. But man, it was flowing out of me. So we're in a very, very good spot right now. So if I don't look great, it's because I'm cutting weight. So I apologize.
Fair enough. And how much? I mean, if you weren't doing this, training for the triathlon and everything, this wouldn't have been a possible scenario for you, right?
Not even, you know how it is. You've seen me on the road. Not even remotely a possibility. I would have been in the 190s. I would have been maybe 200 pounds. Who knows? It depends on how many beers I was drinking. But that wasn't the case. I was doing massive amounts of cardio. I mean, we're talking 10-mile runs some days and 50-mile bike rides and, 1.5-mile swims in the morning with different snorkels and pool buoys and fins. I mean, I was doing full-blown, really training for this thing and still hitting pads and doing some MMA as well. So the weight was in the 70s, just walking around, where normally it's in the high 80s to 90s. So it's kind of like a weird coincidence, right? That I did this thing. I kind of put MMA out of my mind, and because of that, it kind of forced itself back into my life, which is kind of awesome because I didn't want MMA to be done in my life, but I started getting a little bitter towards the division and the way everything was going, and I didn't see that road anymore, and I told you guys from the beginning, if I don't see that path towards the top, then why am I doing it? Why am I getting hit in the head? Why am I coming home beat up to my family if I'm not going to be the best? I'm not fighting just to make money. I'm fighting for opportunities that will set me up for the future and for bigger things. And then this presents itself. And I know there's a lot of people out there like, oh, well, you don't have anything to lose. Yeah, you do. You have all this to lose. It's like, I'm stepping in on 5 days' notice to fight an absolute legend in RDA. If I lose and he takes my ranking, okay, then I know that maybe I'm not meant to be fighting for the title anyway, right? So that path is still there. And with a win, how can you argue to not give me a fight that I really want with one of these top guys and one of these exciting matchups at 155 pounds? So for me, it made sense.
Yeah, and you addressed the physical side of it there. What about the mental side? You were supposed to be doing commentary for this card. I imagine you were looking into RDA and kind of studying him from the broadcast side of it. But when you switched over to the opponent, did that make that easier for you because you already kind of knew the guy? I mean, obviously you've seen him around forever. You know the fighter he is, but in actually studying him.
Yeah, and this fight had been kind of mentioned months ago, and at the time it was right after the Hooker fight, and I was like, nah, not right now. It doesn't make sense to me right now. I was still really gunning and thinking that I was going to get one of these guys much higher ranked, so I didn't want to take a fight with RDA, even though I have tons of respect for him, because I thought I could get a top 5 guy, and ultimately that didn't work out, and then the Makhachev thing happened, and here we are. So it's not like I didn't ever want to fight this guy. I have respect for him. I think he's, one of the best to ever be in the lightweight division. But so yeah, that really, doing research on him didn't really play a part because I called his Kevin Lee fight as well. So I've done research on him. I've studied him. I've seen him fight live many times. So yeah, that wasn't a big factor.
Well, and last thing, because I'm sure other people want to jump in here, is it kind of hard to ask you anything about what this means for the future and, what win-loss, all that kind of stuff, just because it's really going to depend on the performance? I know you mentioned it a little bit, like, yeah, I should get one of those big fights if I win here, but is it just kind of too hard to tell what the fallout of this is going to be?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, right? I think with a win, obviously, it's going to be, could be awesome to just be like, throw the gloves down and be like, I'm done, 5 days, what? And then walk away. But there's the other part of me that knows that when that hand gets raised, it's going to be like, ooh, I want to do that again. You know, I want bigger fights. I want to camp for this one. But I feel like I've also learned a little bit about myself, and I feel like I've matured in this time off, because I can't go and get fat and not be training as hard in between these fights and expect to get to the top. Because if you can't take opportunities like this, sometimes you're going to keep getting skipped by. So I think learning how to have a lifestyle for myself that is sustainable, so that I can keep fighting and stay healthy throughout the year, even though I'm not in camp, you know. So doing all the running and the training and swimming and all that kind of stuff and racing every now and then, I think will really keep me tuned up and keyed up, along with all the MMA training, obviously. But I think doing a little less of the contact in the off season, and then when you book a fight, then obviously I'll ramp that kind of stuff up. So if I can do that and I can feel healthy and my body feels good, and obviously, you know, I don't take too much damage, and I see a win making me want to keep going now.
Awesome. Well, either way, you're a legend for this one. Thanks for the time, Paul.
Thank you, man.
We'll go next to Augusto Niez-Gay with Somos MMA. Your line is open.
Hey, Paul, how are you? Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes.
Okay. Paul, which is your approach to this fight with 5 days notice and no training camp? I mean, on what do you focus on the little amount of preparation that you have for an opponent like RDA?
Cutting weight, primarily, making sure that I'm going to make the weight was number one. And then we all sat down and we watched, we just went through a few key fights in his career, and we picked out a couple things that we think line up really well with my style. And obviously you can't go too crazy. You've only got 5 days. If I go and try to get myself in fight shape, I'm already in shape, so I just kind of did a couple really hard blowouts early in the week to see where my lungs are for 5 rounds. And we did 5-6 rounds with a minute rest, and I was dropping my heart rate in between each one. I was still cracking hard. I did some grappling with Dan Ige over at Extreme Couture last night. Drilled, just did some get-ups, some submission stuff. We did some wrestling, just, moving around in the octagon over there at Extreme with him, Eric Nixick, and just moving around and kind of just getting that feel, standing in the corner when the 10-second bell claps, just getting our minds right for the fight. Because, I think we forget that, the guys that are at this level, we've been doing this for a long time. You don't forget how to fight after a couple months, and I also call fights every week. I'm at that octagon site. I'm in this environment nonstop. So this is home for me. I just now have to switch hats and get nasty and get my mind into that place where I'm going to go beat somebody's ass on Saturday night.
Yeah, and talking about that, what do you think are going to be the keys for your victory on Saturday?
I think just giving him the Philly phone booth, as Duke would say, and letting him know that you come anywhere near me, you're getting hit with something hard. You want to take me down, you're getting smashed with my hip, and then if I get back up, I'm going to knee you in the face. I just got to let him know there's going to be violence every step of the way. And I think he fights a little bit like that. So I think the fans are in for a good one. I think that this fight, the way it switched up, even though Makhachev's an absolute beast, it's a different fight, right? I think we're going to see a lot of grappling in that fight with him and Makhachev, whereas now, if I can keep it on the feet, my defense on the takedowns holds up, I think we're going to see quite a good battle on the feet between somebody that's got really good boxing from the southpaw stance and more of a Muay Thai stylist than myself, who likes to clash in a little bit, use the clinch. He's good in the clinch too. This is the first time in a very long time I fought somebody shorter than me. Kind of excited about that. I haven't fought a shorter, stocky guy in a while. They've all been 5'11", 6 foot, 6'1". James Vick was 6'3". So it's nice to get back down and face these kind of grappling heavy, stockier guys. I'm curious to see how it plays out.
Yeah, I understand you. And Paul, people on social media have been talking, and pardon my French, about your balls for taking this fight. And there is no doubt that this was a BMF move. So taking that into consideration, would you like a shot for that BMF title in the future, or maybe for a BMF belt at 155?
Yeah, well, man, why not, right? I mean, if they want to get crazy with that stuff and sell some shows, if I can get some more fans on my side after this one, I would love something like that, man. Like, those are the kind of fights that if I'm not going to, you don't want to give me one of these top 5 guys right now, keep giving me stuff that's a little wacky, a little crazy, it's exciting, gets the fans going nuts, gets me going nuts. That's what I want. I want to, when I wake up, I want to be scared about the fight. I want to be excited about the fight, and I want to be intrigued about it. And if all those things line up, then yeah, something like that would be so much fun.
Awesome. Paul, you are not only an experienced fighter of the company, but also one of the analysts of ESPN. And considering that today is the 27th anniversary of the UFC 1, so I would like to know which UFC events are on your top 3 list for the greatest events, or those that you remember the most.
I mean, I would say some of the craziest ones I've been a part of. That one, when I called I think the 25th anniversary in Denver, that was a lot of fun, and that was the Yair Korean Zombie fight. That was absolutely nuts. I've called some John Jones fights over the years, man. I've gotten to call DC's fights. Conor McGregor versus Cowboy was a crazy one, to have that, to see, Conor make his walk in front of those crazy crowds. That was definitely something, even though he's in the division and we're, potentially, could face off with each other someday. It still was, it was so much fun to be a part of that, and to have him even say "F you" to me, I believe, from cage side there. So that one stands out.
Awesome, Paul. My last one. A few months ago, when your broadcast partner John Anik grew his mustache, people on Twitter call it the Anik stash. So, do you think it's time for the Felder stash?
Listen, John Anik is a legend, and I love that mustache, and I'm so glad that he's been rocking it, because he used to rock it at home, and then when we'd see him on Fight Week, and he'd shave it off for the fights, and we were all telling him, I was like, man, you got to keep that thing. I like the mustache. And for this month, it's November. People know about Movember, Men's Health Awareness, and it's also Pancreatic Cancer Awareness Month. I've lost a lot of people to pancreatic cancer, and including my father, who lost his life to that horrible cancer. And he used to rock a mustache when I was a little kid. I have a lot of really awesome pictures of me and him when I was a child, with him with a mustache. So on Halloween, I just, for fun, and, we were going to November the next day, so I shaved off the beard and rocked the stash. And then I obviously got the call for the fight, and I wasn't gonna back out just because I got a fight to shave off the mustache. So here we are.
Awesome. Paul, thank you very much, and good luck on Saturday.
Thank you.
We'll go next to Louise Green with MMA Crazy. Your line is open.
Hi, Paul. You mentioned earlier there that you was bitter towards the division, and I'm curious to know, obviously with Khabib gone now, do you feel differently about the division and continuing to compete?
Yeah, well, I think that does open up the doors for a lot of guys. It gets things moving, at least, right? If we can start getting a new champion and guys fighting for that belt, then there's got to be guys fighting to be the next contender and guys fighting to be in line for that. So it gets things moving. That's always kind of been the problem with the 155-pound division and some other divisions too, right? Where you've got a dominant champion, or guys going back and forth because there's close fights, or guys are such high level and big names, and then they don't fight, and then they fight. So it gets challenging, and I'm not accusing anybody of anything, but the division was definitely in a bit of a stagnant position. And if Khabib stays, that's fine too, and let's get him some fights. But if he does retire, I think that opens the door for guys like myself, for the Dustin Poiriers, for Conor, for Gaethje to even get another big fight. But I think since he lost, that means he's got to fight somebody a little bit lower. That gives me an opportunity to fight somebody a little higher. So, yeah, I do see a much brighter future at 155 pounds if Khabib is out. But, again, I'm not wishing him to retire. It's up to him.
Yeah, and you mentioned as well there about when Conor said F you to you when you were cage side, and that's a moment that stood out for you. I know obviously you're thinking about this Saturday and you're not thinking about him at the moment, but I don't know if you noticed, I think it was on Tuesday, he tweeted something with your name. He mentioned 2 German names and then your surname afterwards. I don't know if you saw that. I don't know if he was implying that
he's talking about my name, which is more German, then let's talk about his Scottish name and how he's Scottish then. So shut the fuck up.
Okay.
Go blow some lines and shut the fuck up.
And again, I'm curious, obviously, on your thoughts of his return and how you think his rematch goes down with Poirier.
Man, I think Poirier's a much different beast than obviously they were when they fought at 145 pounds. But, listen, you can say what you want about Conor, and you can talk all the trash about me that he wants, but I think he's extremely skillful. And if Dustin tries to stand with him, I think it could be another crazy war, and I think it's anybody's fight at that point if they just plan on boxing with each other. So... but I think it'll be a little more competitive this time. I think Dustin can bring it and not get caught as early, and he doesn't have as drastic of a weight cut since it'll be at 155 pounds and not down at 145. Should be a good one for sure.
And, with all that said, with all that, that history there between you two, do you see you both aligning and maybe, meeting inside the octagon in the near future?
Who's that, with Conor?
With Conor, yeah.
Oh, God, I don't know. I gotta win this five-day fight first before I can even start talking about that kind of stuff. But, obviously, these are the fights I want, right? If I win on Saturday, these are the fights that I would like to get. And, and just getting my name out there, doing things like this and getting the exposure, you got to do some bold things sometimes to get your name out there and to get people interested in you. The UFC doesn't want to market you if people don't care about you. So you got to step up to the plate sometimes and swing for the fences.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you for your time. Thanks.
Thank you.
We'll go next to Damon Martin with MMA Fighting. Your line is open.
Hey, Paul, when you had the fight with Dan Hooker, you were very honest afterwards and said, you weren't sure if you were going to fight again. You've been doing the commentary thing. You got other projects going on. So, you weren't exactly saying, I'm retired, but you weren't saying I'm gunning for another fight. And then when you come back, I think everyone's excited to see you fight again. But, 5 days notice, 5-round main event, dropping down to lightweight. Like, what was it in your head that said this is what's going to get you back in there? Because I think a lot of people would have said, no way, there's no chance I'm going to take a fight like this.
Yeah, and that's why I'm here, because everybody says stuff like that, and that's the reason they're not here and I'm here, Listen, man, you don't get the things you want in life by being safe and by not taking risks. And I've kind of made my career on, fighting the dangerous guys, doing the crazy things, going to other countries and fighting them in their backyards. And this is just another one for the storybooks of the stupid stuff that I do throughout my career. And I don't know, that's what I've made my career off of. And I've never been that guy that's had to take a fight on crazy short notice like this. I've taken a fight like on a month's notice when I fought Ross Pearson. Me and him both took it on 4 weeks notice. Both of us were coming off losses and wanted to get back in there, but that's the closest I've ever come to a short notice fight. And let me tell you this weight cut is better than that weight cut was. I had a 4-week camp for Ross Pearson and barely made weight for that fight. And this fight, I feel like, is on a better track than that one.
And taking a fight like this, we've seen it a couple of times this year where guys or girls have had to step in and kind of fill a main event slot. And we've seen a couple of 3-round main events, which is kind of unusual. And then we saw a fight like Brendan Allen and Sean Strickland come together for this card where both guys said, listen, there's no way we're going to make 185. So they're doing a catchweight. Did that ever, like, did you ever discuss that with you two? Hey, maybe we do a 160 catch weight, or maybe we do a 3-round fight? Like, you doing this on 5 days' notice is crazy enough, but 155 and 5 rounds, I don't know there's a handful of fighters in the world that would be willing to do that.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't have done the 55 thing if I didn't think that I can make the weight. I was walking around pretty skinny recently, and I want to make all the money, and I want to get to some extra money. And if you want to negotiate for bigger paychecks and more stuff, you can't be like, but it's got to be this, this, and this, because then they'd have been like, okay, we'll give you a catch weight. Okay, we'll give you 3 rounds, but you're not getting anything else. You know what I mean? Like, if you want to get more out of it, you got to be willing to do some stuff too. So I was like, all right, look, I'll do 55. I'll do 5 rounds. I want this. And here we are.
One of the things that RDA said earlier that kind of rings true, and you mentioned maybe a little bit of the frustration of the lightweight division. He said, he's kind of getting sick of people handpicking fights, and, guys ranked don't want to fight other guys unless they're ranked above them and things like that. Like, do you feel like that? Like, do you agree with him in terms of where we're at? Because the lightweight division is so good, but it feels like we maybe are missing out on some fights when certain guys are saying, oh, no, I will only fight a guy who's ranked above me, or, I will only take this fight. Like, do you feel that frustration? Do you see that happening more and more lately?
Yeah, I do. And I think as I get older, I work as a commentator, I see everything now. I know how this business works a lot more. And I know that stepping up, I know that throwing down and fighting your balls off and going hard and not sloppy, not being a maniac out there, but if you go out there and you go for it, that stands out. Fighting people that they want you to fight stands out, and putting on a show and performances are what set you out. It's not necessarily what's his ranking, what's this. If you go out there and you finish dudes, or you look good, going hard and looking good on the feet and doing things like that, that's what will get you kind of what you want. That's what's going to get you the bonuses. That's what's going to renegotiate your contracts better. Not sitting on the sidelines and begging for the number 5 guy, the number 4 guy. And so, I had to kind of put my mouth, what am I trying to say, Brian? I had to put my money where my mouth is, sorry. And I've been kind of saying that, right? And here I am. So I'm going to fight a guy who's not ranked at 155, but he's a former champion. And it's a main event. So it's like, I don't think that really matters here.
And last thing for me, I know you were supposed to work the broadcast this weekend. If everything goes well on Saturday night and you win the main event, will you do your own post-fight interview?
Man, wouldn't that be fun? Wouldn't that be fun? Because who's this supposed to be? It'll probably be Mike, right? It'll probably be Mike. I'll be like, Mike, hold on. I got this. No, I won't. But I was supposed to work Contender Series next week, so luckily they took me off of that. So I will get to go home and rest and drink beer. There's already some Mad Elves in the fridge that Christine got for me at home. So I'm going to go pound them down and order me an Imperial Pizza back in Delco and live my life.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you.
We will take our final questions from Patrick Prokulski with TVP Sport. Your line is open.
Hello, Paul. Can you hear me?
I got you.
Okay. You are coming back from a few months layoff, and I was thinking about what was going through your head through this time about whether you should compete or not, and did you have any offers to fight at this time?
Yes. I mean, over the months we've been throwing some ideas for fights, and RDA was actually 1 month ago, and at the time I was still really trying to get somebody a little higher ranked and wanted to wait around and see what was going to happen. And then I got just kind of, over it for a little bit. You get burnt out in the sport, man. You really do. You do this long enough, you've got as many fights as I do, and I don't even have as many fights as some of the guys on the roster, but you get 20-some fights. I've had most of my career in the UFC. All my losses are in the UFC. I was undefeated when I got signed. So, I've been doing this for a long time. I commentate as well. I'm always here. I'm always at the octagon. I'm always MMA. So I feel like mentally I just need to take a couple months break and get interested in something else and revive my mind a little bit, and get that passion back. Because if you just do the same thing every day, it gets old, right? You've got to just splice it with some other hobby. And I did that, and that really kind of refreshed my mind and made me start missing MMA. And then when I started training it again, and even when I got this offer and I went and started working out, I was like, man, I miss this. I miss this nervous feeling. I miss this energy. And so that was kind of what woke me up for this, was that fire getting relit. So I think those few months off really helped.
Okay, and will this fight really show your form right now, or you think that even if you lose, it's not a problem because you didn't have a camp and it's not a big deal?
I mean, listen, it's not 100% ideal, but I'm looking at the positives, right? Because this close to a fight, I can't sit and nag myself about what I didn't have. I can think about, well, what do you have coming into this fight? And what I do have is I was in really good shape and I was training really hard. I was training really hard. I had a triathlon race that I'm still scheduled for in March. I had hired a coach for it and everything. My man David, my guy Lionel Sanders, who's a pro triathlete, these guys were setting out whole game plans, training peaks. I mean, I had a website, apps. I'm on Zwift racing on there, doing all this kind of stuff. So, I mean, I'm biking, 25 to 50 miles a day. I'm swimming over a mile a day. I'm doing, anywhere from 6 to 10 mile runs 2-3 times a week. I was eating very, very good. I was able to still have my cheat meals and get a lot of calories in me without depleting myself. My body has not taken damage. I have not had any concussions since fighting Dan Hooker. I have not really taken any big damage. So I feel fresh. I feel fast. I feel loose. So I feel like it's kind of like, let's go for it and see what happens kind of thing. Because if it goes well, then I know, okay, I can adjust some things in my training camp moving forward so that I can be a little bit healthier coming into these fights.
Okay, so the last two from me. Charles Sonner used to say that the fighter has 3 ways to shine. Not only a fight, but also the walkout and the post-fight speech. And I know the circumstances are crazy for you, but do you have any name in your mind for a call-out if you win?
I've got a few, yeah, but we will wait and see if I get that W on Saturday, and then we'll be hearing them.
Okay, and the last one, the lightweight division is kind of in between of few things right now, right? It's a little bit mess. We don't know if Khabib is truly out, and if he does, what would you do to get a new champ? Who do you think should get the chance, or maybe make something like an old-fashioned tournament, something like that?
Yeah, I think that tournament idea is really cool, honestly, because that gets all of us busy and active right away. And it kind of forces everybody to kind of be like, all right, there's no hand-picking this. We set it up, and there's a bracket, and you fight, and we get there. And then once we get there and there's a champion, then that can be gone, right? But when you've had a champion like Khabib and then he's gone, you've got all these contenders who are all kind of bouncing around wins and losses with each other. And there's some guys that are really trying to squeeze into that mix. Oliveira, Hooker, myself, Michael Chandler in the mix now. I think it just makes sense to make this big, 8-man tournament or something like that and have us work our way up towards that belt. I like that idea.
Okay, me too. Good luck on Saturday. I'm looking forward to see you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Paul. You're all set.
Thank you.
And we will be joined shortly by UFC middleweight Sean Strickland. We are now joined by UFC middleweight Sean Strickland. Sean, thank you very much for joining us today.
Man, this is a really odd situation we're doing, but thank you. I feel like I'm in a casting call or something.
We'll take our first question from Jay Anderson with Cage Side Press. Our line is open.
Hey, Sean. Thanks very much. Appreciate the time. You're getting a real quick turnaround here, obviously. Definitely making up for some lost time. So just tell me from your side how this fight came about.
Man, I was actually vacationing in Tennessee, not wearing a mask the entire time, too. Kind of freaked me out, but I guess I'm on COVID. So I was on vacation in Tennessee, just going hiking, and then I literally land in LAX, not wearing a mask. I land in LAX, and Mick calls me and was like, "Hey, do you want to fight?" And I was like, "Man, I've been eating barbecue for a week. I don't really think I can make weight." He's like, "Oh, we'll give you a catch weight." And then I was like, "I don't know if I want to," but then I thought about a big stack of money, and I was like, "You know what? Fuck it. Why not? Let's do it." So the fight came about because my love of money. That's kind of how the fight came about. Would I?
Fair enough.
Sure, why not?
Appreciate the honesty, man. Obviously, not a lot of time to prepare here. So, what is the approach? Have you just focused on yourself? Do you just study any tape you can get, or how do you go about it?
It's actually funny. There's a guy named Corey Hendricks. He was on Ultimate Fighter. He fought Luke Barnett. Just ran through him. But he's like 6'3". He's a 205er. He's actually been my main. I don't know where I should be looking, but he's actually right there. I'm like looking down. So he's actually been my main training partner for the Jack Marshman fight. And everyone's like, "Man, why are you training with a guy who's 6'3", who all he really wants to do is grapple?" And I was like, "Because I'm not training for this fight. I'm training for the next fight." And so it's ironically that I got an opponent who mimicked my main training partner.
And obviously, being at a catch weight, how close to your normal fighting weight are you going to be this Saturday?
Oh man, I could have made the weight. I'm 203 right now. If I wanted to, I could have made 85, but it was just it was one of those things where I just didn't want to deal with the added anxiety. He just made weight, I just made weight. What is
Now, coming back for the Marchman fight, there was a lot of focus on that, one, because of the accident and you being away for so long since that Moncton card. And then your performance in the fight, not only great, but also being so vocal, and it really kind of stood out. Do you think that helped boost your profile a little?
Man, at this stage in my fight, dude, I just want some wars. At the end of the day, I don't really care about winning. I don't want to lose, but I just want to go in there and have a slugfest, I want to be come back with my shield or leave without, I just want wars. I don't care about winning, don't care about losing. I just want to go in there and have some wars. So I think that that mindset is gonna be good for me and the UFC.
And last one for me, just talk a little about your opponent here, Brendan Allen. Obviously, he was supposed to fight a week ago, didn't. Do you think he's one of those guys who can give you a war?
Oh, man, I don't even think Brendan's that good. I just think he's tough as shit. He's, you watch him fight, and the guy just eats shots and keeps coming forward. I think his biggest attribute is, the fact that he is so durable and tough. So it's you don't beat this man by sticking and moving. You only come out with a W by a war with this guy. So I think it has the potential of being one of the best fights on the card, unless he wants to fucking do takedowns and be a little pansy about it. But he's been working a lot of kickboxing, so I'm sure he's gonna want to kickbox for a while. So yeah, it's gonna be a fucking war. I'm excited.
All right, thanks very much. Looking forward to it. Welcome back.
We'll go next to Mike Bond with USA Today. Your line is open.
Hey, Sean, you said after the fight with Jack, and you kind of just reiterated a bit there that, you weren't really focused too much on climbing the rankings or picking fights or this, that, and the other thing. After all the time off, you just really wanted to get in there and, like you said, have wars and give exciting fights. Was that a large part of the motivation, getting back in there, not really caring too much about the outside circumstances and just stepping up for the moment and the stack of money?
My management said, "Hey, Sean, when would you like to fight again?" And I said, "Oh, January would be cool." And then it was like, "Well, how about a week?" Honestly, man, I've been training since I was 14, 15, every day of my life. I've been training nonstop. Fight now, fight in 2 months. It don't matter. I'm at my peak performance. He's at his peak performance. And yeah, dude, a stack of money. If there's no money, I wouldn't be doing this. I'd be fighting in the streets, But yeah, the stack of money is the big factor.
Is there any aspect of it too, and just kind of challenging yourself? I mean, we just talked to Paul Felder, who's stepping into the main event on 5 days' notice, and he said part of his motivation is, testing himself and taking that big challenge. Is that something that excites you here too?
Nah, man, I don't care, dude. I just want to go in and have a slugfest through the challenge. Like, it don't mean anything to me. Like, it's just MMA. It don't mean anything. I've been doing this for so long. Like, I'm not going to, like, hype it up and say mentally it's about this. Like, I just want to bang, dude. I just want to go in there and have a good fight, have a good war, get some fans that like me, and then that's it. I don't care about the notice, the ranked. I don't give a fuck.
Respect to that, man. All right, appreciate it.
Sure.
We'll take our final questions from Patrick Prokulski with TVP Sport. Your line is open.
I'm sorry. I didn't unraise my hand after Paul Felder question, so I wasn't even prepared for that. I'm really sorry for that.
Yeah, shit, no worries, man.
All right, thank you very much, Sean. You're all set.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
This concludes today's UFC Fight Night on ESPN Plus, Felder versus Dos Anjos Virtual Media Day. Video recordings will be sent out later today. UFC Fight Night ESPN Plus Felder versus Dos Anjos takes place Saturday, November 14th from the UFC Apex in Las Vegas and will be available exclusively in the US on ESPN Plus. Thank you for joining, and you may disconnect.